Good evening and welcome to Cases. Today people want to stay online 24/7, and they are in most cases. With computers, smartphones and tablets, you don't have to turn off your favorite online app or website, and there's no problem with that as long as it's unharmful fun. But when your information, privacy and freedom are jeopardized, it is more than just fun anymore. With me here tonight to discuss online threats and violations are blogger Muhammad Khalid and social media activist Hadi. But before we talk to them, let's take a look at this short report.
In today's modern world, people spend most of their lives connected to the virtual world, in a way or another, sharing everything with their friends and the world, even sometimes more than they're aware of. People post photos, comments, like certain things, and share others all online, believing that the information is limited to the people they wish for it to see. But they could not be more wrong. Every single movement online is monitored and tracked, and much is also filed and stored. Throughout the evolution of the internet, people were afraid of hackers, a person who could infiltrate a distant computer or system and access its information, even though hackers are highly active today. Governments have become an even higher threat, with countries like the USA having mass electronic surveillance data mining programs called PRISM. The PRISM program collects stored internet communications based on demands made to internet companies such as Google. And when companies like Yahoo refused to comply, they were threatened with a $250,000 daily fine. Now, many people might not be aware of why they should fear their government banking data on them. According to the Universal Declaration for Human Rights, Article 12, you and everyone has the right to privacy. Not only is this an invasion of privacy, but according to several reports, this is how the government can classify you as a terrorist, and they don't need more evidence to do so.
Gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Mr. Hadi Shatila, thank you for being with us here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, to start off with, how secure is the information you share online today?
Information is as secure as the place you have it on, depending on what service you're using, depending on how you use it. The breach might be from your own personal computer, might be from your home network or work network. It's a variable, vast place to actually put a blame on a certain side. So let's say you're using an unreliable online cloud storage. It might be hacked in a couple of minutes, and all your private data on it is exposed to the public. Or you might be using some type of private cloud storage. Maybe it's your personal cloud storage, like you set it up yourself.
Are you referring to iCloud or any cloud service?
Any cloud service, without giving any names, but some are higher priority than others, like some are more secure than others. For example, iCloud is a very secure cloud storage service, and the way the recent leaks were made, or security breaches were made, weren't made actually on iCloud. They were user-oriented breaches. Like, for example, I might be using my...
So you mean the hacker actually hacked the users? There were thousands of celebrities and leaked, stole their photos from their phones?
Not necessarily from their actual phones, but they might have gotten their credentials from their phones. They might have sent them some type of malware or some type of worm which takes out the passwords that needed to access their iCloud server. So it's not actually Apple's fault, it's the user's fault.
How easy is it to send someone a malware or hack someone's phone?
It might be an email. It might be an email, not necessarily while using their phones. They might be using their computers, because usually iOS devices don't accept anything other than their framework, and usually viruses are very minimal on that platform. So
is it the same for Android users or Nokia
no,
phones?
Android users are more vulnerable.
Windows phones?
Also, Windows phones are more vulnerable because they're prone to more virus attacks. The actual OS is prone for virus attacks.
How should the hackers be treated? I mean, when someone's hacking your personal information and making it public, that should be unlawful, isn't it?
The word hacker is very vast, as is the world around it. So let's break it down to pieces. Hackers who access my personal info, your personal info, and give it out to the world are criminals. Other type of hackers that maybe attack services for certain governments who are usually bullying their citizens aren't criminals. These are, like for example, Anonymous mostly, they attack They attack things which, like websites or
They're
governments.
cyber activists. They attack governments and other
They're still
corporations.
hackers, you know. That's what I'm saying. That's why they're both hackers, but one side is good, the other is bad. It's like you can't label a hacker in something depending. You can only label him depending on what he does. If he breaches personal information.
Well, maybe to you personally they're good, but to the government and legally they're very bad.
Okay, well, that's a way to
Some
view
people
it.
consider them cyber terrorists.
Depending on which side they are. That's the point. For me, I'm from this side of the world. I view things from this side. For them, they might be cyber terrorists. But for me, they're freedom fighters.
What's the other side, though? What's the other type of hackers?
Hackers, like for example, if they steal personal information for the sake of blackmailing people, that's a crime. If they're criminals, for example, if they steal bank credentials and they work their way through it, they're criminals. They're economical terrorists, let's say. They might be thrashing a local economy for the sake of fun, for the sake of just showing off their internet prowess. As I said, there's a black, there's a white, and there's a gray in this area. But mostly from what's happening now, it's like hacking for the sake of hacking. It's not hacking for the sake of an actual cause.
Joining us from Beirut via Skype is blogger Mohammed Eklate. Hello, Mohammed Eklate, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Welcome to the show. Sir, is it the same crime to steal civilian information as stealing and disclosing government information, in your opinion?
Well, it is a controversial issue. As Mr. Hadi has mentioned, it depends on the outcome. If you're stealing from a civilian in order to blackmail or to make money out of that, or even to pressure him to do certain stuff, especially if that person is a big person in the society, then it's a crime. If the hacking is towards the government, whereas Mr. Hadi has mentioned, if you're doing it against an enemy, such as if we have our own anonymous faction here in Lebanon, and when they hacked certain websites like the Mossad website or the Interior Ministry of the Zionist entity, then we consider them freedom fighters. While if certain hackers from the Zionist entity attack certain websites here in Lebanon, let's say websites that concern the Lebanese resistance in Lebanon or in any other place in the world, then it's considered hacking, and this is cyber terrorism in our point of view. While as in their point of view, it's not. It's kind of under the title of the big global war between both sides, between the Israelis and the Arabs and so on.
So you believe it's a relative perspective.
Exactly.
He could be a freedom fighter, he could be a criminal. But you have people like Edward Snowden, who actually worked for the NSA and the US government, and his job was to hack people's sites and spy on people and surveillance people. And then he chose to, I will not take this anymore, I will let the people know what the government is doing.
Exactly,
and
because
he decided to leak and tell people. He actually stole the information from the government and told everyone about it.
Because the NSA
and he's treated as a criminal. What do you believe? Because
NSA has crossed the lines concerning internal affairs and foreign affairs. Internally, they're spying on their people. They're monitoring what they do online and on their phones and on their tablets. I remember this incident in 2010, which actually returned the issue of WikiLeaks to the US and the importance of online privacy and how the government is spying on people, where a married couple, the wife was searching on Google something concerning cooking
about
material.
Exactly,
as pressure pot, while the husband was Googling something that
about
could
fertilizer.
That could be used to make primitive bombs. A few hours later, the FBI came to their house and arrested both of them. And so this means that the U.S. government is monitoring and spying on what its citizens are doing. well, if you go to foreign affairs, as we've seen the big problems, political problems that happened between Germany and the U.S. and also other countries and the U.S. concerning the U.S. spying on certain elite leaders in the
Exactly.
world.
You said they crossed the line, but where does the line stand? I mean, they were spying on the German Chancellor Angela Merkel.
Exactly.
I mean, this is an ally of the U.S. government, but still they were spying on her, and no one's holding them responsible. There's no action towards the U.S. government.
Exactly, because both sides realize it's also a political issue at the same time, because it created a major problem between Germany and the U.S., for example. But at the same time, there are many political ties that cannot easily break between both sides. So it's also relative depending on the issue. Even between Israel and the U.S., the same issue.
They were spying.
The issue happened, and it's very hard to break a bond between the U.S. and Israel. Same likewise goes to Germany. But for now, the U.S. Obama said that this issue is over and they apologized and so on, but it's really just the talk in the air. What Snowden has done was actually a very remarkable thing, and the way that the British government and the U.S. government are following him and accusing him of breaking the law and jeopardizing national security actually places certain marks on the issue that this person has done something right. I mean, for me, I believe that everyone that pisses off the U.S. And the U.K. is a person that's standing on the right side.
Mr. Shatila, you were a victim of hacking, and you were blackmailed for money to get your information back. Can you tell us a little more about that story?
Yeah, back in 2008, I was working on a compromised laptop, my laptop. After receiving an email, I wasn't actually very knowledgeable of this topic, so I received an email from somebody. He requested that I Photoshop his photos, so I downloaded a couple of photos. And I had to restart my computer for an error. I restarted my computer and I couldn't actually access my email nor my MSN account, which were the same account, which I had for quite some time and had almost all my contacts on. So luckily I had my other account, which was a fresh account a couple of years back. I emailed myself trying to know what was happening, and I MSN'd myself. The hacker replied back and started lashing out with curse words and other stuff.
He replied to you on what?
On MSN. I used my secondary account. Let's say, for example, my first account was account 1. I had account 2 on account 1.
So you chatted with yourself?
With myself, because I couldn't access my first account. So while talking with the hacker the person who was using my account, they requested $5,000 to be transferred to Western Union via Western Union to a name outside of Lebanon. The number was large, $5,000, and they actually used the reverse, the forgot my password mechanism on my other accounts, which were linked to this account. They got my Gmail, they got my Facebook, and they got my Hotmail, which was, everything was linked to my Hotmail. So they wanted...
But is $5,000 worth it? I mean, you could get a new computer for $5,000.
Exactly, so I didn't heed for that. I contacted Hotmail and got my email back without the hacker knowing, of course. It happened in a couple of hours, and it was direct contact with Hotmail or with Microsoft.
What are the steps that someone would have to take?
First of all, you need to go to the main page, which is currently Outlook. You have to, first of all, access the part where it says you forgot your password. Then after that, you can't answer neither your secret question nor your code. There's a place where you have to fill in a form on that page. You add your personal information, your last passwords, the last password and the ones before it. They ask you a couple of questions about mostly used folders inside your email, recent emails you've sent, a couple of other things, and of course you have to access all that with a new account. You can't access that without an account, so you have to have another Hotmail or Outlook account. After doing all that, they will check if the information checks properly, and they get back to you. They ask you a couple of other questions. If you had your passport given to Microsoft earlier, like when you fill in some information, you can add a scanned copy of your passport, which I had already done earlier. I had to send them that copy again, and they gave me a reset email, and I did that. Later on, they told me I have to do the two-step verification system, which is a better system to make my account much more hack-proof. The two-step system is you need your phone. So let's say I give my actual password now to the audience. They can't actually access my account without having my mobile phone.
They will have a verification code reaching you by SMS, which you would have to plug in.
Or there's also another way. On your phone, it's called an authenticator. It's a serial number generating application, which doesn't require internet nor actually being connected to Microsoft or anything else. It just gives every 30 seconds a new code. This code only works with your account. So this is what you use as secondary to your password.
Now, how much time would that take, and how safe is it? If I recover my account, how will I know it will not be stolen again?
Let's say if it got stolen, they can't actually access your account without the code which is being generated or the SMS sent to your phone. So giving out your password isn't a vulnerability anymore. They have to have your phone.
Now, you got hacked by a hacker. Totally anonymous person, or you might know, you might not know him.
It was the person is anonymous to me, but the entity is Al-Qaeda. They presented themselves and they branded my Facebook with Al-Qaeda flags, and they started swearing at me, cursing and calling me names and posting obnoxious things about me.
Really?
Yeah, they were like defaming me in a way or another.
Well, why did Al-Qaeda target you?
Maybe because
it's a bit off topic, but I have to ask.
Yeah, I've been naughty on Facebook. I've been like targeting them in many ways that I could on Facebook, since it's a platform to speak your mind. So I was speaking my mind on every other occasion that they're related to. I guess they got ticked somehow.
Now, if you're talking against Al-Qaeda, I guess that makes you a hero and not naughty at all. We will talk about freedom of the use of internet in a while. But many information is not being unsecured or given away by hackers, but by the company itself. Like many people post their pictures on Facebook and other social media channels such as Twitter and Instagram, etc. And then these companies choose to sell your information to governments or to marketers. What do you have to say about that?
This is a direct breach of privacy, but if you read the fine lines on the agreement that you make with your Facebook account or with your Twitter, they have almost all the right to use you. But you actually like scroll down and press I agree. Rarely do people read this license agreement and know what it holds. Personally, I use Facebook and I have nothing to hide. So it's like I don't mind my privacy issue because I'm not actually putting anything there which is private, which I don't want to be leaked to the public. But there are some other people who are unaware of the workings of Facebook or Twitter or these other social media outlets that place a lot of private information on their accounts, and they just use the privacy setting on the page, not knowing that this data can be used. On the other hand, there are companies who actually sell anything about you to governments, to companies, telemarketers, etc., with the breach of privacy. That usually these companies can be trialed, but usually these things are settled outside of court if they find the fine line print which can incriminate the company.
I have more questions about this for sure, but before we have to take a short break, viewers, stay tuned.
Eye on the Islamic Revolution. Eye on the political challenges. Eye on the economic challenges. Eye on the technological achievements. Eye on the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Welcome back, viewers. I'm here with social media activist Hadi and blogger Mohammed Alet, and we're talking about online security. Before the break, sir, you were talking about how Facebook, how you agree and accept Facebook uses your pictures and other information and sell them or reuse them as they please. But here's something, I read something about this and I don't understand it 100%. If you can clarify this for me and the audience, that would be great. That they can incorporate your search history into Facebook or other social media sites and use that to target you as a possible buyer. They can sell that information, your browser history, to marketers. How does that work?
Google has done it for the past 10 years and they've succeeded on creating an empire. And Facebook is cashing in on the same role. What happens is when you search, you leave a trace. This trace is done by cookies, by whatever logging system is being used by the platform, which makes it easier for people who want to sell to target you. For example, when you put your information on Facebook, without even searching, you're placing your age, your sex, the place you're from, you're putting some interests, you're liking books, you're liking products. The algorithm made by Facebook cross-references all this data with whatever you search online while accessing Facebook and using the graph search option inside to make like it's a mathematical equation about you, which refers to you. This mathematical equation makes it easy for somebody to sell you something. For example, in your preferences, you like vampire movies. Then there's this new show which is on TV, for example, The Strain, wants to target people who like vampire movies. It automatically gets redirected to you. The Strain is a vampire.
And of course you agree to this.
Of course, you clicked it when you created your Facebook
Well,
account.
does it matter if you read through or not? I mean, it is vastly known that people do not read through
they
the
just
terms
press
and
agree.
conditions.
If you don't agree on these conditions, you can just leave Facebook. That's the ultimatum.
But I mean, legally, if they know that people do not read them, shouldn't they make bigger warnings or like oblige people to actually read through, like give them 30 minutes to press agree?
I've been watching this behavior ever since I've been using the computer. Usually people just scroll down wanting to press the next button. Rarely people read, and usually you have to search for the fine print, which is usually in smaller letters than other and then the base text or the body text.
Well, they give them away to marketers, but that's not the only people they give them back to. Mr. Alet, are you still with us? I don't know, can you hear me, Mr. Alet?
Yes, I can.
Yes, Mr. Alet, they don't only give your information and search history or even the things you like or share or comment on to marketers, but also to governments, and they can classify you as a terrorist based on things you like on Facebook or Instagram or MySpace or whatever. How legal is that, and how constitutional?
Well, in a way, when you give such information, it's actually the internal forces. If we're talking here in Lebanon, it's the internal security forces' job. The section that deals with electronic crimes. Recently, we had the issue on Twitter with the account of Ansar al-Sunnah of Baalabak. Yeah, it's in a way, it depends on the way that they use it. If they, hello?
Yes.
Yes. If they are using it in order to become a certain electronic dictator, then it's illegal for the government to do so. Or if they are only monitoring or spying on their citizens, then it's illegal, because as the Declaration of Human Rights has mentioned, yes, we have the right of privacy, and it's actually a very it's an essential issue on online networks to people to have their privacy. Although that the idea or the notion of privacy and online, they don't really match actually, because once you're online, you don't have anything that's private, exactly. except the issues that you place. You should place what you want the people to see.
Issue. If you're already if you're suspected of a crime or terrorism, and they spy on you, then that must be something. And if they're spying on you in beforehand
not
to
wrong.
see if you are a terrorist, that's something else, isn't it?
Pre-crime.
Well, that's not wrong if they're actually monitoring you and you have certain terrorist acts, you have you're doing certain actions online that
Okay,
are,
that's great if you have a history in terrorism or crime. But if you do not have, like, me personally, if someone is monitoring my use of social media, why would they do that?
Well, look, personally, I don't see it as a major problem to monitor online activity of a certain person if that person is a suspect of terrorist acts or illegal acts. If it's if he was caught that he's doing certain terrorist acts, such as the certain Twitter accounts and the Facebook accounts that we're lately seeing in certain areas in Bekaa and Tripoli, even in Beirut, then that person should be monitored. Not maybe monitored or not. He should be monitored in order to see if these acts are actually correct or not. Or as what happened with Mr. Shatila, he was hacked by his Facebook account was hacked by an Al Qaeda person, and he started posting things that are pro Al Qaeda and against Mr. Shatila.
Well, but the thing is, how would you feel if somebody was monitoring you? If you knew the government was monitoring every move you made online, your search history, even when you're home alone, or monitoring your father, your baby sister, your brother maybe, how would you feel about that?
I know that. I actually feel that every time I open my Facebook, my Twitter account. That's why it's in the end, it's the if the government is not monitoring you, the internet provider is monitoring you. The website that you are opening is monitoring you, whether it's Facebook or any other account. And people should have this certain responsibility of knowing what to post on these websites, especially because they have seen how much it has hurt them in many ways. Lately, we had the Instagram issue, where Instagram has placed in the agreement that they can take your photos and use them for marketers or advertisers and so on, but people have just pressed agree without reading that, and it has created a huge problem between the users and the Instagram website. It's not about the website. The problem is not the website itself. The problem is how we use these websites. If we don't have this sense of responsibility, if we don't create this consciousness towards how to use these websites, then we're doing something wrong. While as the government monitoring, if they are monitoring for certain issues of true national security, then it's okay. But if they are just monitoring in order to indict people who have nothing to do with terrorist acts or illegal acts just for certain political games and so on, then that's something wrong.
Mr. Shatila, what's your point of view on the topic? We have seen that the US government threatened Yahoo with a $250,000 fine daily if they don't comply with PRISM, the surveillance program that would mass surveillance entire USA and outside parties. Don't you believe that privacy has gotten out of hand?
In general, I don't trust Yahoo, but I think what happened is they tried to work outside what was usually happening in the US. Like most companies do actually fall in under mining efforts, because PRISM is a mining algorithm which mines information and gathers them and makes these equations that run around each person. Like they collect random information to sum up a profile, which is, for example, your profile, David Zoaiter's profile, Muhammad Klait's profile. It profiles them as possible criminals, possible pedophiles, possible terrorists, possible whatever. It uses all the information it can gather or can collect about a person and makes a certain pre-crime judgment, if so to speak.
Like the movie Minority Report.
Exactly, that's what was
running through your head.
Exactly. So what Yahoo did was refute joining this program. I think it was doing it for the sake of publicity.
I think so too, because I read reports that before that it was compliant.
It was, exactly. So I guess this would be something for 2 weeks, 3 weeks long, and then it will comply back.
But still, the threats were very serious.
Exactly.
They actually went to court over them.
Exactly, and Yahoo failed. Yahoo lost the court under before actually getting to it was like overruled. Their judgment was overruled to the government side. So I guess this is a stunt, but the stunt is an eye-opener. It shows us that the US wants every single entity under its...
they can spy on whoever they want, they can do whatever they want, they can ask for whatever they want, and you have no say in this.
Exactly. Even more, you can check that Microsoft's offshore accounts are being requested to comply with PRISM's... and Microsoft is fighting this currently in courts in the US.
So they're even spying on you and me.
Exactly. They're spying on everybody, and as we mentioned earlier, they spied on Angela Merkel, they spied on Israel. They want to mine as much data as possible to at least feel safe, but they won't feel safe.
Now you said out of this you're getting a certain classification.
Exactly.
They classify you and they profile you according to what you post or what you share, what you browse on social media. But how accurate is that classification?
I'll give you another side. There was this global initiative to capture and indict pedophiles. They made a robot child, a digital child, and they posted this child to the internet, which can communicate with pedophiles. And they placed this virtual entity, in places which can intersect with these pedophiles, and they actually grabbed more than 20% of online pedophiles using this program. So this program is like a smaller chunk of PRISM, which collects information about people and can, like, as I said, pre-crime or predict the things that this person might do. And sometimes it might be under coincidence and not really anywhere in reality.
So what happened to innocent until proven guilty? Here
exactly.
Here you're not innocent until proven guilty. Here you are accused of a crime before even thinking of committing it.
A pressure cooker and fertilizer bomb. So it's a matter of mathematical equations which label you terrorist, label you a thief, online thief, credit thief.
But in that case, it happens that they had no thoughts of creating a bomb. There was a lady trying to buy a pressure cooker and another man trying to buy fertilizer.
What PRISM does is it creates substantial evidence around a person to indict that person. So they might use it for blackmail if they don't want to actually label you as a terrorist. They might threaten you, we'll label you as a terrorist for you to work with us as maybe a double agent or an agent, or give some information away. You know that there are a lot of immigrant Arabs and from other nationalities in the US who might be assets for the CIA or CIA to pursue some key people in whatever organization they're following.
Yes, we do know a lot about that, but that's a whole different episode, and we will take a look into it. Mr. Alet, what is enough to classify someone as a cyber terrorist?
Well, it's basically their online activity. If you see that person is promoting certain terrorist acts or terrorist groups, certain ideologies for terrorist groups, then that person would, in principle, be a cyber terrorist. If we see those acts actually showing a good outcome or positive outcome for them, such as creating groups or seeing people in that users' friends list or followers or whatever they call it, that are doing the same actions, or they are re-promoting these ideologies and these actions, then that person will be a true cyber terrorist. And we're not only talking here about, if we're talking groups such as Al-Qaeda or Al-Nusra and so on, there are certain, it's a big concept, terrorism, that is, you could go on and forth with these issues, but it also depends. You can prevent such issues from happening by not only by monitoring online activity in general.
But if we take, for example, don't mind if I take you as an example. Some person would find you an online terrorist or cyber terrorist because you just said that you oppose the Zionist entity and you're with the Lebanese resistance. And to some people, such as the U.S. state or other states, they might consider you a terrorist.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last thing.
I said that you might be considered a terrorist yourself to some people because you said
Because
that
I
you
oppose the Zionist
Zionist
entity and the U.S. Yes, of course, it's a relative issue for me. For them, I am a terrorist, for me, they are the terrorists. It does not only depend on the online activity. Online activity is kind of like the cream of the top of any situation. You have to see what's happening on the ground. Is it actually giving an outcome on the ground? I mean, if these accounts, let's say for the Mossad or Al-Nusra, they don't actually much differ. If these accounts are actually making these groups or actually taking certain people into their command, creating these groups that are actually going to wreak certain havoc in certain places, then this is actually cyber terrorism and terrorism at the same time. Cyber terrorism, it's kind of like a wartime propaganda, but in an online version. If nothing is happening on the ground, then it's only just talk. It's only just online talk. But if it's actually happening on the ground, where people you see they're adopting these ideologies, then you have a real terrorist in our hands.
Viewers, we have talked about security, we have talked about privacy, but now we will talk about freedom. But after this short break, stay tuned.
Depth, clarity, substance. Beyond the discourse.
Beyond politics, beyond the shallowness of everyday politics.
Welcome back, viewers. I'm here with social media activist Hadi Shatila and Mr. Muhammad Alat, blogger. Before the break, we were talking about online security and privacy, but now we have to talk about freedom, because many countries such as Turkey, USA, Russia, many more have banned a lot of websites and services. How free do you believe people are today, Mr. Shatila?
If they want to work on the national internet grid, well, they're limited to a bunch of sites which the government allows and another bunch which the government disallows. Whatever government, I'm just saying in general. And the only way to actually get the freedom they want is by using VPNs and proxies. Which usually is illegal in most countries which have bans on certain sites. So freedom here is intricate. Unless they don't actually know about these other websites that are blocked, they're free as much as they're
living inside the matrix.
Exactly.
But online internet has always served as a platform for you to express your views and search whatever you want and be able to be open and be the person you are, even if it's not very socially accepted. But you had the freedom to choose who you were online. You did not have to abide by social standards or any rules or any laws. But today you have, like, Turkey banned Facebook for a while, they banned YouTube for a while. You have USA censorship where they censor a lot of websites. And even in Saudi Arabia, a lot of tweets does not show up if they have certain words or tags in them. What can you say about that?
Concerning Twitter, let's start from the end. Concerning Twitter, you know that Al-Walid bin Talal is a very big stakeholder inside of Twitter. So that's basically where all the gems start. And the filtering happens directly from Twitter. It's not something which is external to Twitter. So they just target certain hashtags and keywords, and it's very easy to knock them out of the timeline, which is actually now changing to the worse, and Twitter users are enraged by it. It's turning somehow like the algorithm which runs Facebook's timeline, which doesn't show everything on it. It shows like randomly selected tweets now. It will show randomly selected tweets in no chronological order, only which have most talk on. So for example...
but that kind of kills the idea of Twitter.
Exactly, and it will kill anything which was used by reporters on Twitter. It will kill the reporting atmosphere, since it's going to be another Facebook. The timeline is going to trend to another Facebook. And what was happening earlier by screening certain keywords and hashtags is proof of where Twitter is heading.
So all it took was a sum of money.
Exactly.
And they just erased the whole opinion.
Exactly.
When is it the government's right to censor?
As discussed earlier in this episode, it's always a two-perspective thing. For example, if the government was actually doing this censorship on a certain faction inside the government, which was trying to make certain havoc or like riots, etc., it's very understandable to minimize the damage. But if it's a government trying to kill or to subdue freedom fighters or people who are trying to do something for change, a better change, of course, then that government would be an oppressive government. So it depends on how you view it. If you view the government as on your side, whatever the government does is going to be something for the good. If you view the government as your enemy, even if it was your government, you'll view anything the government does as something oppressive. So,
Mr. Mohammed Alaid, blogger, joining us via link from Beirut, is still with us. Mr. Alaid, a senior official from Russian control agency Roskomnadzor says new regulations verified that were verified say that they will hunt down and remove posts that slander anything that can be described as ethnic, religious, or social hatred. Don't you believe that that is more rational than targeting people who oppose to government policy?
Exactly. It's, because when it comes to politics, it's better to give the two opinions, the pro and the con. But concerning spreading social hatred or religious hatred, I mean, we're suffering it here in Lebanon. We've seen the outcome of spreading social and religious hatred. It came out with the Lebanese Civil War in 1975, and even before that in 1956. I believe it's a good step from the Russian government to do so, and it's actually, but the thing is, when governments say so, and they're really trying to going towards the good or the better in this, then it's a good step. But we've seen many examples around the world in using, whether in the UK or the US, even in Iran, even in Saudi Arabia. But we are seeing the one side of spread. I mean, they're spreading the hatred from one side towards another, and the government is censoring the other side. And it could be used or misused by the government in order to censor several issues. They would say, such as here in Lebanon, we have the same law here in Lebanon, but we're using it in a relative way. Recently, about a year or a year and a half ago, they censored the book, the Da Vinci Code, and it was on sale in libraries for the past 5 years. From a year and a half ago, they censored it because it's spreading. The
Da Vinci book, I believe millions of people already have the
exactly,
book.
And they watched the movies, and I also memorized the book because it was too good. But they said that it spreads hatred against Christianity and false ideas and facts. That's the misuse of certain of this rule in exact, because they would use this rule in order to censor the issues that certain religious powers or authoritarian governments need. They see as they need to censor. That would jeopardize.
Let's look at it from another point of view. I mean, in Lebanon recently, where you are, in Lebanon, they banned major porn sites.
Yes.
Now, many people were with this. They said that this is great. Lebanon is a very traditional country.
Exactly. It's actually a good
they're very
step.
conservative. But at the same time, inside Lebanon, you have a lot of like Islamic State propaganda going on social media, and you have a lot of terrorist
they're not
propaganda
banning
going
them
on,
as well.
and nothing is being done against that. Why would someone take such measures and limit the use of pornography when there are hatred and sectarianism and racism going on just at the same place, at the same platform?
Well, from the way I also thought of the first time I heard of the new law, it's actually a good step to start from, banning these websites for two reasons. From the explicit views that we see on certain websites, and actually from the bugs and hackers actually use a lot of these websites and the photos produced by these websites in order to hack several accounts. And concerning the hatred issues and the whole fuss towards the ISIS and the fanatic groups, yes, the government should work on not censoring these issues, but spreading the responsibility on how to deal with these issues. You can't censor one side and leave the other side to talk, because when you censor people who support ISIS, I'm not talking about ISIS itself, I'm talking about people here in Lebanon that support ISIS and spread the same things that is spread in an Islamic way, not only the things that they talk in a fanatic way. I mean, they also believe themselves as Muslims and they spread Islam. If you censor that type of Islam and you leave the other type of Islam or Christianity and Judaism or whatever, then there will become revolts all around Lebanon. Then you would really prove to them that they are the minority, the oppressed minority in Lebanon. It's not an easy issue to handle, especially when you're talking about religious issues and social issues. You can't simply wipe them out or censor them when they are really spread in all of Lebanon. In Russia, you can't find these issues a lot. Maybe they're rare in Russia, the ethnic or religious problems. So when you take certain precautions, when you censor them at all, then it's a good step when you do it when they're at the beginning. But now we're in the middle of this religious fanatic swamp.
Mr. Aled, thank you for clearing that up. We have about a minute left. Mr. Shatila, WikiLeaks, the biggest online freedom platform ever imagined. Some people say that it's terrorist, some people say it's evil, some people say they should be prosecuted. But let's look at it from this side. Even the people who just took information from WikiLeaks who is already there were prosecuted, like journalist Glenn Greenwald and Paula, the other journalist, I forgot her family name, but they were also prosecuted. What kind of freedom is that?
That's the direct opposite of freedom.
Not only can you not post, you cannot report on other people's posts.
Also, Lebanese reporters were prosecuted for that same cause from Al Jadid, from Al Akhbar.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really sad to see such a thing happening. But as you know, the powers that be clearly don't play fair. They haven't been playing fair since ever. For example, the US, the UK, and others who were part of the WikiLeaks documents were enraged by what happened, and they want every shred of evidence that was spread around, and the persons who deliberated it to be prosecuted, and they can't be stopped. They made the UN. They made
I will have to correct. Glenn Greenwald was involved in the Snowden incident. There were other journalists involved in WikiLeaks.
Yeah, so they have all the power to prosecute anybody, and the only thing happening now is that people are standing up. People are starting to wake up to the whole bubble we're living in. So it's about time that we see such a sad event and react to it.
Today, in many protests, people are wearing the Guy Fawkes mask, representing anonymous and hacktivism as online activism. It's called today. Exactly. How do you believe that's benefiting online freedom?
In the marketing perspective, they characterized the voice of revolution with V, since that's what he represents in his movie. And using it, it's like it makes a link between all these people that it's time to stand up and revolt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hadi Shatila. Mr. Muhammad Ali, thank you for being with us. And viewers, thank you for watching. Until next time.